Wow. Monsters are dicks. Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Malc's Movie Review. I'm Malc, and this week we took a look at Monsters University, a movie that recently came out on Blu-ray and DVD. We're going to talk about it and see what we thought, or what I thought. Why am I using royal we? Alright, so the story, and I'll be honest here, going into this, wasn't expecting to like it. I did not like Monsters Inc. that much. A large part of that was Sully came up as being a stereotypical hero, and I didn't get why he was a hero. The entire way through, all I could think was you should be listening to Mike, but regardless. Also, the kid was really annoying. Didn't like her at all. Well, but I digress. So, Monsters University is a prequel to Monsters Inc. This goes back all the way to the time that they first met in college, where both of them are going to Monsters University. In this environment, Mike is the hard worker, the one with the dream, the bookworm. He wants to become the best scarer ever, and apparently there's a lot of stuff to study if you want to do that, because he is pretty much a master at everything, with the exception of one notable thing, and that's he's not too scary. As a cop car goes by, but whatever. And then there's Sully, who is a dick. That's his major role in the entire movie. He comes in and he's coasting off his last name. He's just ridiculous, but he gets away with it because everyone knows his dad, and he's good enough without having to study or do anything to further himself. The story follows them. At first, it's a pretty interesting rivalry that grows into an issue where, due to a situation I won't go into, they pretty much have to team up in order to make it as scares. And this is where we see their friendship and whatnot. I also wanted to talk about the animation in Monsters University, which is just phenomenal. Pixar has really come to its own as far as how the animation looks. It's starting to look less and less CG and more like claymation, which sounds like I'm insulting it. But what I'm trying to say is it looks real. There's like one scene in particular where the monsters actually look like models from like a stop motion creation, and it just looked so real. I was actually really impressed. I can only imagine what these movies are going to look like in the future, but I really dug it, and the look was just fantastic. The one minor nitpick I could make is you can tell in quite a few areas that this was meant to be a 3D adventure, because there are a lot of scenes where the monsters just jump out at you or make a funny face into the camera. But aside from that, it just works really well. But I digress. I really enjoyed the story. It was actually really well told, and I wasn't expecting it to take a lot of the directions that it took. Like, there's one part where we're gonna go to the end. Don't worry, no spoilers. But at the just before the ending, there's a point where you think that it's the ending, but the movie keeps going, and it takes and it does a moral that I wasn't expecting them to. It's something that's not really explained, and I don't want to go too much into it because it sort of spoils the story once again. All the best parts came at the end of the movie, but the moral is essentially to a point that, you know, sometimes your first plan doesn't work, but that doesn't mean that you in and of yourself are a failure. Sometimes you can still get your goal even if it's not quite what you were looking for. And that's as much as I can say. But the moral I thought was really, really great in this movie. I really enjoyed it. Going through some of the actors here, Here, Billy Crystal once again as Mike, and John Goodman once again as Sully. Both of those characters play really well. In fact, I love this movie much more than Monsters Inc., especially due to the fact that you get a sense of their character this time. You know, Sully is the responsible, smart one. He's generally the one with the plan. And Sully, you know, once he overcomes the fact that he's a big, huge, gigantic jerk, is the one with the ingrained ability, but he doesn't know how to bring it out. So it really explains the partnership and why Mike and Sully work, which is really great. I really enjoyed this. It made me really like these two characters to a point where I now enjoy the franchise, though I'm still not watching the first movie. We also have Steve Buscemi, who reprises his role as Randy, and it explains a little bit that whole rivalry between Randy and Mike and Sully, and how that started and how it'll eventually finish in Monsters Inc. I enjoyed the character in this. You know, you get a sense of, you know, he started off really cool, but well, he started off as kind of a good guy. He was actually was actually really good, but yeah, you'll see in the movie he has a kind of a fall from grace as he joins the dark side. And Helen Mirren is in this as Dean Hardscrabble, and her character is essentially the antagonist, but she's not a bad guy either. Throughout this movie, you know, she's basically the hard case. She's the one that's like stopping Mike and especially Sully and especially Mike as far as becoming professional scares. In the instance of Mike, her big instance of he can't be a scare, he's not scary. And at first, your first instinct is like, oh, she's just being a villain for the sake of this film needs a villain. But as the story progresses, she actually explains herself, and it makes perfect sense why she's doing what she's doing, in the sense that she comes off as very logical. So I really appreciated that. I mean, they could have had her just be the typical awful Dean character or the typical Disney villain. But you know, credit to Disney, they rise above themselves and they actually give a really good character with an understandable way of thinking, and you can sort of relate. So it really works, and the story just works and flows together nicely. And as I said, the moral of the story is very good, and it's a moral that's not explored enough in any sort of story or medium that's out there right now. So I'm really shocked how much I enjoyed this movie. As far as an overall rating, buy it. It's excellent. I enjoyed it. It's great seeing these characters come to life in this way. I kind of wish that the franchise started with this, which actually wouldn't have been as good, because then that means that they would have dropped the ball on Monsters Inc. Never included a child in the story. Never. But it really works. It's a very heartwarming movie. It's one of those movies you'll want to show to your kids, because the lesson that you learn it is really good. So yeah, definitely go out and see it. It's a great time. All right, folks, we'll see you next week for another review. I'm Malc, and I'll catch you later.